working out who is the real Jets fan?
Yeah, I think it would be such a moment that if I was like for some reason associated with being able to be the project, it would take a lot of thoughtfulness, like a micro version of what I've been doing for the last 6 months.
Number 2, shout out to Sutton S. When are you going to change your profile picture to a CryptoPunk?
When I buy a couple more CryptoPunks that I really want. That's just an authentic answer, right? Like I really want to score 1 or 2 more things because I'm scared. I'm also, honestly, it's actually not an authentic answer. It's a 37. I am petrified to affect the market.
Mm-hmm.
I live this in sports cards.
I remember.
I'm very worried if that happens. It's funny, even this podcast, I'm getting you off. I don't know how to not answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not naive that this is going to be listened to and like some people are like, oh, because I'm being very candorous. I also don't think I'm always right. I also think, who the fuck am I? But I also am aware that some people, which is why I'm like, do your own homework. I understand I have a nice track record. I do have a nice track record. I do believe in my picking ability. But I picked Yobongo and thought it was going to be the biggest startup of all time, and it failed. So I think that I don't know when. I also think that what I'll probably end up doing, if it's okay with the CryptoPunks community, I'll have to probably ask the founders. I kind of want to like get someone who's talented enough to make their own custom version of me wearing like a green cap, a purple cap, or a green cap. So I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I do think it will happen at some point.
I like that. TJ, shout out TJ. The real question is, do you own a crypto cube? If not, when do you plan to get one?
I don't. I don't know when I plan to get one, but I want to do more more education on it. You know what I mean? Like what I'm doing is I'm not doing anything. Like I have smart friends. I have people that are being very generous with their intellect and knowledge. I just don't rush into things.
Yeah, smart man. Shout out New View Investor. Gary, how do you evaluate an NFT? What is your criteria?
The underlying information, supply and demand. Who's behind it? What do I know about them? Do I think they're good? Think of it as jockeys and horses. The underlying data, the subjectiveness and my ability on the creative part, that's the horse. The jockey is, who's the human behind this? Do they understand how to cultivate a community in perpetuity, or are they just trying to do something for a quick win? Right. So those are the 2 big criteria.
Shout out to Wheel. NFTs with a physical counterpart. Does a physical devalue the NFT, or does it not matter?
My intuition is that it enhances. I think it broadens people's intrigue. I think it's another data point to make it interesting. I don't know where the community sits on this. If they think that eliminates its purity, I could see a path to that. I also don't think anybody gets to make the rules, and I think that people that just want to do the NFT are right for them and themselves, and I think the people that want to do the physical counterpart are right for them and themselves.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger issues right now in the space is the physical custody. No one knows how that's going to play out, right? Once that NFT with the physical counterpart is sold, the physical is distributed, and then that NFT is reposted on a secondary sales site. Do you get the physical? Do you not? What condition is it in? Someone open? I think that's one of the bigger issues. I imagine someone's going to step in and take care of that.
It's funny. For me, my intuition is that they should be separated immediately. Mm-hmm. That the NFT, that's what's amazing about the blockchain and the ledger. It's like so incredible.
It is.
And I think let the real world do its real world thing. You're not going to ever be able to attach it. You've already created a vulnerability if you think you're going to attach it because of condition, provenance, like what really happened.
Right.
I think it's a nice to have. It's an added value. It isn't the thing.
Right.
Is how my stomach thinks of it.
Yeah, I think it's either that, and that's probably most cases, and I imagine there's a service that comes out that does take custody and
mercantile it and just sit somewhere.
Exactly.
I think that's right.
Shout out Joel Miyazawa. What is your biggest pain point with NFTs?
You know what's so funny? My brain went here right away. It's my knowledge that it's going to get mucky here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know how this plays out.
I know how this plays out. And I remember the hurt feelings of people I loved in Web 2.0 when it started crossing the chasm of being commercialized. And the purity of we're going to change the world mixing with monies. And this one is much more transactional than that was.
Yes.
My biggest difficulty is knowing that there's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of money lost, a lot of short-term thinking, a lot of bad characters, a lot of people becoming miffed of the overall space because they'll see somebody that they grew up with turn into, in their mind, somebody who's selling out, even though that person is just trying to do something, that's good for their family. There's going to be emotions, and I know that. And so because I know that, it's like, this is why I think I'm speaking the way I am to everybody, which is like, hey, be prepared. It's okay. It's okay. Like, let go of convincing. Lean into conviction. Do it your way, because you'll win in the end. You will win in the end. You build a meaningful project that has real community. You might get outsold by somebody who's a better self-promoter, but let's talk about what it looks like in 9 years. And that's what I always play for.
That's the biggest deal, is ignoring the person who's outselling you now. Because it's so easy to look at. It's just
and having the humility to not impose your way of seeing this on everybody.
Yes.
People, it's important because it's what happens to people that fall in love with a band that gets big. They start hating them.
That's right.
But you didn't get to control. You don't get to control what the band's doing. You get to control how you enjoy it. You're in charge of that.
That's right. I knew about them first, right? It's that whole thing.
Which is going to happen a lot right now.
Yeah. No question. Shout out to Bill Ellis, fabulous artist, by the way. How do we guarantee the longevity of the NFT space?
It's been guaranteed.
Nice. Good answer. Good answer. Also, Bill Ellis. Okay.
It's real. Let me just triple down on that.
Yeah.
It's, Google is a very big search engine. I was there when everybody was fighting it out. Yahoo, Dogpile, Ask Jeeves, like all these things.
Ask Jeeves, good reference.
And a lot of them were worth a lot of money on paper and they went to zero. Mm-hmm. But search engines are here.
Yep.
NFT, collectibles, arts, and all the music and all the beautiful things that are coming will be here for everyone's rest of their life. Is there a concern that all this gold rush will hurt the brand to the overall market? Of course. Will that not matter in the end? Of course. People thought the internet was a fad when the stock market collapsed in April of 2000 and everyone dismissed the internet. That's when I tripled down on the internet and changed my life. Do I think there'll be a crash of things that are selling for a lot of money right now? I do. I really do. But do I think that eliminates the market? No, I do not.
Yeah, it's inevitable, but I like that initial answer of it's already been guaranteed. Also a question from Bill Ellis. When are you, Gary V, going to drink whiskey with me and Roger?
I'm open to it. I actually, I am still through and through a wine man, and when my whiskey friends bring it out, but I am far from scared of having a good whiskey or a good bourbon, or don't forget my family owns a liquor store. I've got some stuff. I've got some Happy. I've got some stuff. I've got some Japanese stuff. I've got some stuff. So I'm in for it.
Nice. Shout out to Danette. Danette, were you bidder 65, Gary, in the Blau auction?
I was not. I saw that. That was not me. I'm so happy for Blau. Really, I haven't talked to him a bunch before the process, but I was not.
Shout out Nicholas Costa. Where do you source your information in the NFT space? Who are you following?
It's funny. What a great question. I'm just following a lot of voices. I get into rabbit holes, speaking a lot to friends that I really know, like Scott Belsky, Kevin Rose, Lazaro, talk to those kind of characters who are a little bit more outside of it, right? Mm-hmm. Then I follow and listen to Maddie down in Australia.
DCL blogger.
I'm a
Shout out Maddie.
huge fan. There's Jeff Holberg, has been somebody I've spent a lot of time with, trying to think, because I want to make sure. Emmanuel, who was at Coca-Cola, has been very involved in So Rare. Matt at Larva was very gracious, and I was able to speak to. Kevin Rose has been a big factor because he's so truly, authentically a learner too. Mm-hmm. And I went through that with him. He's been big for me, and just continue to add people to conversations. Donnie over at Bitsky, he was very gracious with several hours of time.
Bitsky's picking up some heat right now.
Beeple was very gracious and of his journey. And just a lot of people on DM, little tidbits. I also am a very interesting learner. I don't like taking anybody's points of view. I like listening to them, and then kind of looking at things. Mike Novogratz, somebody I've spent some time talking to, like a lot of people. But I'm a very funny character. I take everything with a grain of salt because I'm aware that people have subconscious agendas.
It's very true.
Which I don't blame. So I try to be thoughtful. I watch what people react to. I watch every comment on the artifact drop. Like I read people more than experts. I read. I try to get educated.
That's why I love this so much. I love seeing you dive into NFTs because I've seen you dive publicly into other things before. And I've seen your process before. And I've seen you get your hands dirty before. I've seen you go out there and when it came time, right? When that came time and when the next book came time, I've seen you get out there and then I've seen you pull back and go through this process that's as old as time. I love that our paths intersected in this space and seeing you do it here. It's really meaningful to me separately. And I just think that everyone listening to this in NFTs should be really excited that you're doing it.
I appreciate that. I like being good for communities. And I know how to do it. And I think when you have a big microphone like I do, which I've earned, so that there be no confusion.
No doubt.
I'm going to be very careful with it, incredibly, and I will make micro missteps because we all do. But I think when you have a platform, those get compounded. So I'm petrified to do so, and I just really enjoy this community so much. And look, let's call a spade a spade. There is the art combo. There's a heavy layer of collectability in this. A lot of the tokens are very grounded in video game, sports card, comic book culture, something that I feel deeply comfortable in. Deeply. I've never collected art and flipped it. I've only supported art, which is awesome actually, because I think that's going to be good for me in this space. But boy, do I like buying an athlete. NBA Top Shot.
Yes.
I think it's an incredible project for a million reasons. I also think it's an incredibly interesting project because I think a lot of people are going to lose a lot of money. Not because Top Shot's doing anything wrong. Roham's incredibly thoughtful. Flow, I think it's amazing. It's that those are more like sports cards. They'll be the next one and the next year and the next year. And I know what Kevin Garnett and Chris Paul and Tim Duncan and Patrick Ewing rookie cards go for. There's not a sustainability to Top Shot long term. And so I'm very concerned of how big that crash will be, on it, especially because it's by far the biggest project for the normal consumer. Does that hurt, quote unquote, the space? It may. Yeah. This is why we have to educate and say things like this. I'm a macro monster fan of Top Shot. I think it's so cool. Basketball, the best culture.
Yeah.
But I'm also a monster fan of sports cards, but I'm out there saying all the time that if you buy rookies and not LeBron and Jordan, somebody's going to be held with the bag.
You're going to get hurt. And look at the junk wax era, right? What's happening right now in Top Shots? Right now they're starting to say anyone who reserves will get it. Well, that's a supply faucet that's been turned on.
But even if you go to the original stuff, Terry Rozier can't maintain long-term value.
Right.
Tyler Hero can't. They have to become a top 25 player of all time. And I think Terry Rozier, I bring up Hero and Rozier as guys that I admire tremendously, who at this point I'm pretty convinced are not going to be one of the 25 to 50 best players of all time. And I tell people to go look at Vince Carter or Dirk Nowitzki rookie cards and then look at current player rookie cards who are 4 times more expensive on supply and demand. And I say, put that into Top Shot. You need to be careful. Don't forget there's a bunch of Ethereum and Bitcoin trillionaires, right, who are diversifying, which creates economic dynamics. So it's just a time to be thoughtful and a time to focus on your conviction. I'm excited to be a part of it, and I thank you for your time.
Man, Gary, it's been an absolute pleasure today. Let's grab that glass of whiskey with Bill Ellis sometime.
Let's do that.
I will, absolutely.
Right,
Thank you,
I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, episode's over. Please leave a review and subscribe up on Apple. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you very much.
Today's highlighted review is Glad I Found You by Coach Eric. Back in 2017, I decided to look for a connection. I was going in the right direction to become the best version of myself, but look, I bumped into one of your YouTube videos talking about podcasting and how you need to have empathy for others and kindness, and that drove me to listen. Appreciate you, Gary. Thanks for everything you do. Keep those reviews coming. We could highlight yours next.
This is the Gary V audio experience.
Hey, podcast.